Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another edition of In the Blender with your host, Shake Money. Today, I got a special guest who has his own Dolphins podcast every morning religiously at 10 o'clock. He is one of the up-and-comers of the Dolphins YouTube community. Really good guy. He puts out great content. That's why I'm there just about every morning when I can. And interact with him and the other people who, frequent the channel, like my man Raphael Courtwright. As a matter of fact, he's the reason I discovered the channel. Cosa Nostra is another guy who frequents the channel, and he could testify that Big C is a great Dolphins content. He interacts with the audience, and I'm telling you, it's up and coming. His audience is getting bigger and bigger as he progresses in his YouTube career. We'll talk about that. We'll talk about how he became a Dolphin fan in the enemy territory, and So when we come back, we'll introduce you to my man Big C. So sit back, relax, and let's get started.
Shake, 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 yeah. Shake, 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 shake. Shake money in the place. Miami plays, Miami days in the blender was shaking his friends. We're gonna talk about the Fins again. Miami plays, Miami days in the blender was shaking his friends. We're gonna talk about the Fins again. Is you a fan or a troll? Are you trying to wish us good? Trying to take control. Bringing problems to the hood. What takes your soul? Miami Dolphins bring the wood. Super Bowl is the goal. Tyreek Hill. I'm trying to kick it with Shake. You gotta be a real fan. No pretenders and fakes. We're gonna open up the line. Come correct with your taste. If you step into us blind, we're gonna show you the way. Miami plays, Miami days in the blender was shaking his friends. We're gonna talk about the Fins again. Miami plays, Miami days in the blender was shaking his friends. We're gonna talk about the Fins again. Never want the season to end. Mix it up a little with gin. And I remember when I knew that the Dolphins would win. Yeah, rockin' with Shake, rockin' with Shake. Let's go. I never want the season to end. Never. Mix it up a little with gin. That's right. Pass it off to one of my friends. Yeah, rockin' with Shake, rockin' with Shake. Larry K, what up? Phin-Addicts. TFTG, the tailgate. Miami Dolphins, baby. What up, Lou? Shake money. Crypto. Check it. Me? God bless y'all. Miami Dolphins #1. And we out. Miami Dolphins football, the greatest football team. We push the ball from goal to goal like no one's ever seen. Respect us.
Morning, Your Majesty. It is another beautiful day in Zamunda.
Yes, it is another beautiful day in Zamunda. And with no further ado, let me introduce you to the man, the myth, the legend, Mr. Big C. What's going on, Big C? All the way from NYC. What's going on, man?
What up, Shake Money? How y'all doing tonight?
Everyone's beautiful, baby.
That's what I'm talking about. Glad to be here. Thanks for having me on.
I know Cosa Nostra was looking forward to this. I know my man Raphael Courtwright, he'll probably catch the replay, but Raphael Courtwright was definitely, every time I would talk about an up-and-coming guest, he goes, hey, when's Big C coming on? When's Big C coming on? So Raphael Courtwright is definitely one of the cool dudes in the community that I love to have. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I love Cosa Nostra and Raphael. Great guys.
So what part of New York? You upstate New York?
I am upstate New York, right on the border of Pennsylvania and New York, towards the middle. Yeah, nowhere special. The town's known for our prisons. So, other than that, it's just a small town. The first black Heisman Trophy winner ever was from my hometown.
Oh, that's what's up.
Yeah, Ernie Davis for Syracuse University.
Yeah.
He was drafted by the Cleveland Browns, but never got an opportunity to play. He died of leukemia before his first season in Cleveland.
That would be Central New York, not upstate. That's our Michael K. He's the know-it-all, the know-it-all.
I'm from upstate New York. I know where I live.
Yeah. Any right. So being that I had you on the Insomnia episode, we did the pick'ems with Crypto and myself the first time we had interactions, and you told me that your family is Bills fans. So how did predominantly Bills family, how did you become a Dolphin fan?
Well, most of my family are Bills fans. But my father, that's on my mother's side. I'm not really close with my father's side, but my father was a diehard Dolphins fan. And, I got to go and spend time with him on the weekends. He had visitation on Sundays, and our Sundays, lots of times were spent watching Dolphins games. So from a very early age, I was curled up on the couch next to him watching Dolphins games, and, just fell in love.
Do you have any vivid memories of watching the Dolphins?
Favorite memories?
Yeah.
Obviously the fake spike game that plays on my head over and over again. Just watching Dan do his thing. Dan Marino is my favorite athlete of all time. In my opinion, no one's ever thrown the ball better.
Mm-hmm.
Dan was a victim of, if Dan would have played the game today, Dan would dominate. You know what I mean? Dan was a victim of, he was good enough and great enough to make average teams better than what they were. So they were never able to, in a time that was pre-free agency, it was hard to improve your team unless you improve through the draft pre-free agency. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And the teams were always so good that we didn't draft high. So we never got an opportunity to really build this team around Dan because we didn't have high enough draft picks. And, if back then we had free agency, we could have probably surrounded him with the missing pieces that were not there. A running back, a better defense. But yeah, Dan Marino is my favorite athlete. Just love watching him play. A phenomenal player.
And so let me ask you this: How was it living in enemy territory? Being a Dolphin fan in enemy territory. Is it a neutral? Where you live, there's a lot of Buffalo fans. What's the fan base like in your neck of the woods?
Listen, it's pretty much all Buffalo in this area. I mean, you have your Giants fans here and there. You have your Jets fans here and there, but it's predominantly Buffalo. If I go into the local grocery store, it is Josh Allen this, Buffalo Bills that. Everybody got a bumper sticker, Buffalo Bills. The Buffalo Bills is they are the team of this area. As far as I get comments once in a while down in my area if I wear a Dolphins hat or something. If you go up towards Buffalo more, where a lot of my family does live, then you really get it. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, big Cat for Life is in the building.
What up, Cat?
I met that dude in person. He's a good dude, man. He's from my neck of the woods. So, what are the do you have what's the dialogue like during the season with you and the Buffalo family?
During the season, I try to segregate myself, especially, You know, growing up, the Buffalo Bills had the Miami Dolphins number 2. So this isn't really anything new to me.
Mm-hmm.
You know, those 90 Bills teams were special. And they've always kind of given it to the Dolphins. And, you know, it's disappointing and sad to me. Even the house that I used to watch the Dolphins game with my dad at my grandmother and grandfather's house, they were huge Bills fans.
Oh,
So
wow.
I try to block people out because I get so emotional over my football team that, you know, it's just not a good situation. And I try not to put myself in situations that, you know, I'm going to say something that I'm going to regret because I can't take the little digs. I can't take it. I can't take it. I've done a couple broadcasts of the game, and I'm going to get into it this year. I didn't really get serious into the podcast thing until I'd say the season was almost over, really.
Yeah.
I did a couple live streams of games, and if things weren't going Miami's way, I can't sit there and give good content because I go off the wall. I'm liable to break a TV. You know what I mean? Like that might sound extreme, but that's just how much I care about the Miami Dolphins, and that's how much they affect me personally.
Yeah. So oh man, what was your, I would say, what your favorite Bills game and your least favorite Bills game, if you could recall one?
Dolphins and Bills?
Yeah.
My favorite Dolphins Bills game was probably the game where Ricky had a couple big touchdowns. I was actually there. I was actually at that game. It was cold. It was snowing.
Mm-hmm.
I can't remember the year, but Ricky had 2 long touchdown runs in that game. I'd probably say that was my favorite Dolphins Bills game. I loved Ricky Williams. I thought he was one of my favorite Dolphins of all time. My least favorite, there's so many of them. I'm just gonna stick with something recent. I'm gonna stick with something recent, and we had a real chance of winning that football game. Is that snowball game that happened a couple years ago, and we didn't play bad. We played well. We could have won that game, but the trashy ass fans throwing snowballs at our players, while they were going up for catches, throwing snowballs at our players while they're sitting on the bench. Every time the ball was thrown in towards the end zone, here comes a million snowballs. I don't know how they think that's fair, or if you feel good about yourselves that you won a game that you cheated in.
Mm-hmm.
But I'd have to say that recently.
Yeah.
And then the games where Tua, that dirty ass player Matt Milano, gave Tua his first concussion. He pushed Tua late. He shoved Tua while Tua was off balance. Tua fell back, hit his head. Matt Milano's a dirty player.
Yeah, and he has a reputation for it, just like Dominican Sue did.
Yeah, he's a dirty player. I can't stand Matt Milano. He's a dirty ass player.
Oh yeah. So needless to say, Bills is your most hated division, like me.
I hate the Bills. I have a different hate for the Jets.
Okay.
I absolutely despise the Jets because the Jets haven't, Buffalo's never won nothing, no Super Bowls, obviously. We can talk about intelligence, but you're a fan of a team that has never won a championship. But the Jets haven't been good, and you had those a couple years under Rex Ryan where you were halfway decent, but the Jets talk like they're great and they don't win nothing ever. You know what I mean? They don't win. They're just not a very good team most of the time, but they talk like they're 12-time Super Bowl champs. You know what I mean? So I despise Jet fans at least as much as the Bills fans. I mean, if you would have asked me back in the 90s, I would have definitely said Buffalo.
Yeah.
But now
At least
Now
the
I
Jets
can
have a Super Bowl, unlike Buffalo. There's
Well,
five.
that's-
There's 5 Super Bowls in the state of New York, and one of them are in the state of New York. So,
and that's true. That's true. But
mhm.
at least when Buffalo talks their junk now, they got a good football team.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
But they only been good for the last 5 years. Let's not forget they were like how many years? 17 years without even making a playoff game. So
that's very true. That's very true.
Yeah, they went what? They only lost. They only beat Tom Brady 3 times. So,
well, to a side, you've never won a championship. Never, ever. So, what are you? Do you feel a sense of accomplishment because you've won some division titles?
Exactly.
I mean, like, come on.
We could still go to YouTube and see our Super Bowl run. He can't do that.
It's sad that we gotta claim 70 Super Bowl titles from the 70s. It is, but that's exactly what I'm talking about. Is that these fans in our division want to throw dirt on us, but you've won nothing. You've never won anything.
Yeah,
what is your sense? What is your sense of accomplishment?
In the last years of we have that we've in the same amount of time that we didn't win a playoff game, we have the same amount of Super Bowl appearances. So
yeah,
it is what it is. Again, that's Michael K. Like I said, just pay him no attention. Like I said, he's just gonna let him chirp away in the chat section, and
that's cool. I can chirp. I can chirp too.
That's not what the show is about. So what I mean? Let him continue chirping by himself.
I feel you.
Eventually he'll tire out. Anyway, so now what made you start your Dolphin channel?
To be honest, I feel like the Dolphins, for whatever reason, are hated upon by the media. I feel like the media takes shots at the Miami Dolphins, and I think the narrative and the way they say things is so off base to me that I just felt like I wanted to get my voice out there. Like, I don't have a bunch of friends that are Dolphin fans. I didn't grow up in Miami. I didn't grow up in South Florida where, everybody's a Dolphin fan. I got Bills fans as relatives. I got friends that are Bills fans. I got the people that I know are Bills fans. So I can't talk shop and talk about, you know what I mean? Because if I voice my disagreement with a particular take that I seen on ESPN, they're going to be naive and agree with it. You know what I mean? Yeah. Whereas another fan that supports the Miami Dolphins like I do will be able to see my point of view at the very least. And, us Dolphins fans, we definitely vary on our opinion on certain subjects. But at the same time, I think we can all understand where the other one is coming from, no matter what your opinion is of a certain subject with the Miami Dolphins. I think we can all at the very base of it understand where the other one is coming from.
Yeah. So let me tell you something. Growing up in Miami, I had 2 of my closest friends. One was a Steelers fan and one was a Cowboys fan. So there was a lot of, even me growing up in Miami, I didn't have a lot of Dolphin grew up with a lot of Dolphin fans. I knew a guy, he was a Broncos fan. Another new guy, he was another Cowboys fan. So yeah, even the locals, a lot of the locals weren't Dolphin fans, at least in my neighborhood. So I understand exactly where you come from. And I grew up in Miami. So
yeah.
So that's kind of what made you want to do the Dolphin content, so you could kind of reach out.
Yeah, just to vent more than anything. I wanted to vent. I wanted to, get my opinion out there because and see if anybody necessarily felt the way that I did. And I was hoping that people did. I was hoping that I wasn't crazy. And I have the people that have tuned in and stuck by my side. Cosa Nostra, Raphael, like they've been there since the very beginning.
Here's another guy, Scott Jackson. He's another dude that I'm gonna finally meet in Indianapolis when I go this year.
Okay. How you doing, Scott? Those are guys that have rocked with me since the very beginning. Since I had one viewer. I was going live with one viewer. You know what I mean? It was one of those guys. You know what I mean? So, or Bonnie. Bonnie, if you're familiar with the Dolphins fan base, Bonnie sat there and watched the whole game and it was just me and her the whole time. So I appreciate them people that came out and supported me from the very beginning and listened to my point of view and respected my point of view, and I appreciate them to death.
Yeah, for sure. Like I said, by the way, IMAX, the Bronco fan I'm referring to, he went to Carroll City.
Okay.
But yeah, you got again, and that's what I like. Raphael Courtright, like I said, Raphael Courtright messaged me and he wanted us to collaborate. I'm like, damn, that's what's up. Raphael Courtright, he's helped me out a couple of times. As a matter of fact, I'll never forget when I'm doing this show, he was live on Marissa Marino when she was podcasting. He went on a live chat and asked her if she wanted to be on the show, and she said yeah. And I reached out to her, and because of Raphael Courtright, she made that happen. He made that happen,
Oh, okay, that's awesome.
You know what I mean? Hey, what have you learned by doing this? What and what advice would you give to people who want to start doing this?
What have I learned? I've learned that it's people are cutthroat. You're only going to have your own back for the most part. A lot of these guys, I mean, there's people that are out there to help you, and I've been helped along the way quite a bit. Mm-hmm. But at the same time, like Shake has been great to me. TD's been really good to me too. I've worked with Doug. Doug's been nice, but these guys are very busy guys. If you're looking to grow quick, I mean, don't expect that. I didn't enter this to make $1 million or become YouTube famous or anything like that, and that's not the goal. You know what I mean? Yeah. The goal is to talk football and hear other people's opinions. Like I think I take great pride in trying to be the most interactive Dolphins YouTuber there is. You know what I mean? And I understand that people have live panels and do stuff like that. You do a great job with that, Shake, when you guys have the live panels. No doubt, but like I go through my comments and I try to answer each and every one of them. Mm-hmm. And let everybody have an opinion that doesn't have a YouTube page, that doesn't have the time to start their own YouTube page, that doesn't have the know-how to do a YouTube page. I don't have the know-how to do a YouTube page, to be honest. I mean, if something goes wrong for me, you see me, oh my God, what am I going to do? Like I don't know things about computers, so it's very difficult to me, but yeah, I think I've came a long way since the very beginning. And I'm going to continue to grow and continue to try to get my opinion out there. But I am very open to everyone's opinion. What makes my opinion better than yours? You know what I mean? We all going to feel the way we want to feel about this team. If you love the Miami Dolphins, you have the right to feel the way you want to feel. And I take great pride in being open and not judging people. And listen, if you want to start a channel, more power to you. More power to you. But if you don't have the time to start a channel and you still want to have your voice heard, you can come by the Fin Posse podcast and I'll make sure that you get an opportunity to speak your mind.
And drop the link in the chat so people could click there. And it's also, the link is also in the description. But if you want to drop the link in the chat, please go. Be more than happy to do so. But I just want to point out one thing. Dudley Do Wrong, his first video I saw him was the Minkah Fitzpatrick. Was the Minkah Fitzpatrick trade when he got drafted. So it was Adam Gase last year. So you're talking about 2018. So 2018 to now, he's made leaps and bounds. If you look at even you, Michael K, even you. Again, this is listen, me and Michael K, we tomorrow, if you want, we could go back and forth that if all you want to. You can go on his channel, you could chirp back and forth all you want to, but today that's not what this is about. So I'm not trying to isolate you on your own, but it is what it is. Yeah, you're more than welcome to come on. But anyhow, and he does support Dolphins content, believe it or not. He trolls us, but he supports you.
Yeah,
So,
he's more than welcome to stop on by. We can chop it up
for sure. At any rate, like I was saying, so I want you to go look at TD's first stream versus now. You'll see there's a night and day difference. It's just like he learned everything that he's doing now. He learned on the fly. I remember the first time he did interactions, he had a burner phone. Okay, I was on there. I did that, and he would give out the burner number, and you would call on your phone. This was before StreamYard, and that's how he was interacting with guests, whatever. So, and he's grown. I remember the first collab TD and Dudley Do Wrong was on laptops. He was on his computer. So it DD and DDW have evolved as they went through. You know what I mean?
absolutely, and I expect that. I think that since my day one video, and again, I started my actual channel, I want to say sometime in July, but again, I didn't get too serious into it until I was doing another show on my other channel, which we're going to get back to that when the season gets closer, and that focuses on the whole NFL more so just than the Dolphins. I mean, obviously there's a lot of Dolphins content. I'm a Dolphins fan. A lot of the people that are members are subscribed to that channel are Dolphins fans. So we do talk about the Dolphins more than other teams, but it's more of an NFL channel. And I was working on that with my cousin, and we were doing that 3 times a week. And I felt like, well, I don't really have to post on my channel because I discuss everything I was going to discuss anyway. So I wasn't even posting on the Phin Posse podcast like that probably until January 1st, I would say. I really started concentrating on my channel. And ever since, I've been just, trying to do 5 days a week. And, lots of times there's not a lot to talk about. And we, somehow we figure it out. And, sometimes things become repetitive a little bit. But the beauty is that everybody gets a chance to talk. Everybody gets their feelings out. And I enjoy it. I'm hoping that it grows even more when the season comes around. But yeah, I think from my first show till now, I mean, I was doing some shows in my living room, and then I moved up to my bedroom, and now I got I turned my sunroom into my own personal podcast room, and now I'm figuring out ways how I can make this room even better. So I think my quality of videos from that first day, a little under a year ago till now, I think I've shown great growth. I think there's a huge night and day difference. And I was never a public speaking person either. I'm very shy. I'm not a big talker. So this is all new to me also. You know what I mean? Yeah. And I think, I'm going to make mistakes along the way. I'm going to fumble my words, or sometimes I'm not going to have the right word right there because I say it at the spur of the moment. And I don't know how to edit videos and stuff like that. So you get me raw live. We doing it live. You know what I mean? So sometimes I might mess up. Sometimes my mic might cut out. You know what I mean? But that's what it is. But I will continue to grow. The product will continue to get better. And I want everybody to be along for the ride and experience this with me.
Yeah, for sure. And like I said, thanks to Raphael Courtright, man. I've been whenever I can in the mornings, if I'm in an account, sometimes I'm with somebody and I can't, but if I'm just putting away stuff, and I put one earbud in and I just listen. I don't comment a lot, but I'm listening. You know what I mean?
I
Sometimes I'm
definitely
driving
appreciate
between
that.
accounts. You know what I'm saying? And the one thing, the one thing that I noticed too about your channel is that sometimes, like for instance, you'll have a show with no real direction. The comment
Yeah.
section will come up with a topic, and you guys will kind of gear around that and that get the ball rolling. You know.
Absolutely. I like, again, this time of year it's rough. You know what I mean? This time of year is rough. You don't always have a ton to talk about. I mean, you talk about the draft, you do draft, you do a mock draft, and then what's the next day? You know what I mean? Everybody's still talking about the draft. So you come by and you talk about the draft again. You do another mock draft. I mean, lots of times it's repetitive, or, there's an opportunity to talk about what's on people's minds, and I love when we come off the top with a topic and we're able to discuss it and come to some kind of conclusion. And I think, I'm open-minded. You can maybe change my mind on a particular subject, or maybe I can change yours. And if I can't and you can't change mine, I'm all right with that. And again, you're allowed to fan the way you want to fan. I'm allowed to fan the way that I want to fan.
Mm-hmm.
And that doesn't, I think we all want the best for this team, right?
Exactly.
If you're a Dolphins fan, you want to win championships, right?
Yeah.
Maybe your opinion on how we get there is different than my opinion, but that doesn't mean we don't want the same thing. So
yeah,
as long as we both want the same thing, I can be cool with what your opinion is.
And what's funny is there's a small sector of the fan base that don't like our quarterback and would rather the Dolphins fail with this quarterback than succeed with this quarterback, because they don't, of all the shit they've been talking about this quarterback, they don't want to be wrong. So they'd rather put the team down so they could get rid of the quarterback instead of, but that's neither here nor there. You know what I'm saying? You witness it yourself on your channels as well. You know what I mean?
Absolutely. I mean, that's the one thing I can say about the whole Tua thing is I've watched a lot of sports in my life, whether it was baseball, basketball. I'm at this point in my life, I like certain players in the NBA. I don't really follow baseball all too much anymore, but I'm a football guy. I am a full-fledged football guy, and I've never seen a player be so polarizing to a fan base as Tua Tagovailoa. And yeah, people either love Tua or they absolutely despise him. And it's so crazy that these guys are fans of the same team.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's so crazy because you would think you hear the people that talk bad about Tua, you would think they're not Miami Dolphins fans.
Yeah,
and then a lot of the people that love Tua, you're like, well, damn, Tua is in my opinion, where I'm coming from, I'd be like, well, damn, Tua's a good quarterback, but he ain't what you guys are trying to see. So I'm one of the rare fans that's in between. You know what I mean? Do I think Tua can win us games? Absolutely. Yeah. Do I think Tua can possibly win a world championship for the Miami Dolphins? I do. But I don't think that Tua is this god.
Yeah.
I think if we can upgrade over Tua, I'd be for it. I don't think you can build a team around Tua because of his injury history. But at the same time, I'm not going to sit there and say Tua can't win nothing. Tua can't complete a pass. Tua can't do this. I'm not going to lie neither. You know what I mean?
I understand.
Just to fit my narrative. So
and you know what's
I fall in between.
There's lies both ways. You know what I'm saying? And
absolutely.
That's why we kind of get along, because we're somewhere in the middle.
Absolutely. There's lies both ways. Absolutely.
But anyway, let's talk about what was your favorite off-season move, and what was your least favorite off-season move?
My favorite off-season move I'm starting to love this draft more and more. That's more than one move, obviously. My favorite individual offense or
Or you could do
individual
multiple
move.
whatever you prefer.
I like the direction we went within the draft. I like
course.
that. I like that.
And one thing you've been and I was proven wrong because Chris Greer doesn't have a track record of doing it, but he did, like you were saying before the I'm going to give you your cigars. Before the draft took place, you were like trenches, 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 and he finally did what he said, what people were clamoring to do, and that's trenches, trenches, trenches. Mind you, he only got one guy for the offensive line, which I think we need a few more, but at least he addressed the trenches. You know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely. And that's why I love this draft. I think we addressed the trenches. Now, was I a little skeptical on trading away all our picks in the middle of this draft? I wasn't. I wish we could have. I love the Jonah pick at number 37. I love it. I wish we could have got to 37 without giving up our third round pick.
Mm-hmm.
I wish there was a way that we could have got there. Maybe there's not. So I'm cool with how we are set up right now with Jonah. I'm cool. Kenneth Grant. He was my favorite defensive tackle in this draft. I was saying Kenneth Grant all the way. For a little bit, I had shifted to Will Johnson just because of the cornerback situation that we're stuck with right now. My opinion is, if you're going to be a draft pick playing corner in the NFL, you got to be a top pick. You can't take a third round corner and start them immediately, in my opinion.
Yeah, no doubt.
I find it very difficult, but I think you can take a third round defensive tackle and start them immediately. Yeah. I think the position's very different. So I did switch my opinion a little bit to move to corner, but then when Will Johnson, it came out that he had an injury and he was going to fall, I absolutely went back to Kenneth Grant. So I'm very happy that we addressed the trenches. I'm very happy with this draft. I think we got a lot of players that are about football. I think we got a lot of dogs. I think we got students of the game. I think we got a lot of players that want to get better. They want to be great. I think Kenneth Grant wants to be great. I think Jonah wants to be great.
Mm-hmm.
I think the safety we got wants to be great.
The defensive tackle, what's the name?
Jordan Phillips.
Jordan Phillips asking for the playbook right away. You want to?
I think he could be the biggest star from this draft. I really do. I think he could end up being the best player out this draft. He's only 20 years old.
Wow, that's what's
he's
up.
20 years old. He's a young kid still. He's only going to get better. He has the hunger and the desire to be great. Again, you're right. The initial phone call to get drafted, you're asking for the playbook. You know what I mean? Like, that shows something to me. He's not even got his grown man strength yet. You know what I mean? And we drafted 3 defensive tackles, but each one is a little bit different. You know, Zeke Biggers is more of that straight up nose tackle. He is a huge human being. He's probably 360 pounds, was 6'5", 6'6", huge human being. You got Kenneth Grant, who can play anywhere from 0 to 3 technique. Very athletic for his size. He ran the 40, sub 540 at 360 pounds. Super athletic. People say that he can't play 3 downs. I don't see it. I think he can play every down. He'll be just fine. He doesn't have the gaudy sack numbers, and he doesn't need them. Sometimes players impact on the game doesn't show up on the stat sheet. But you'll see Chop Robinson jump up to 15 sacks because of the guy. You know what I mean? You'll see Jordan Brooks stats jump up because he's got Kenneth Grant playing ahead of him. And Kenneth Grant's going to demand 2 guys at all times. I dare the opposition to put one guy on Kenneth Grant. I dare him to. When you got a defensive tackle that's going to eat up two blockers, that causes problems for the offense. So I love what the Miami Dolphins did in the draft. The thing I hate the most, and that could change, I hate that we're letting Jalen Ramsey pull this shit on us.
Yeah.
I hate that we're allowing this guy to take our money, take a contract extension, and then dictate where he wants to go play, and we're going to trade him there. I hate that.
Yeah.
Because if you look at this team right now, and let's say this never happened with Jalen Ramsey, you look at this team right now, and you'd be like, damn, we get a number 2 corner. Listen, we can make some noise. But now we have no cornerbacks, no corners. And we're in such a tough spot. We're not going to find a number 1 corner in free agency. We're going to have to make a trade. If we want a true number 1 corner, and they're not even going to be on Jalen Ramsey's level, we're going to have to make a trade for one. But how differently do you feel about this defense if Jalen Ramsey's? I think you feel
A lot better.
massively different. You know what I mean? So it disgusts me, and I'm hearing that this is all over because Mike McDaniel called him out a couple times about his play during games. This is what I'm hearing, that the whole beef is over, is that Mike McDaniel called him out to make an example of him, to show the rest of the team that, hey, if I can call out Jalen Ramsey, you're not above being called out. And he got so butthurt over that he wants to be traded. That's crazy to me.
Yeah,
Grow
you
up,
know what's
man.
funny is
Grow up.
He was the one who spearheaded to get rid of Big Fangio. He was the one who wanted Tua to get his contract extension. So I think the organization bent over backwards to try to accommodate him, and this is the thanks we get. So
Yeah,
I 100% agree with you. Unfortunately, what we want and I think what's going to happen are two different things. You know what I mean?
Absolutely. I mean, I think the only thing worse that can happen this offseason is that somehow, some way, the Miami Dolphins part with Tyreek Hill. And I think if that happens, that's an absolute disaster. Tyreek Hill is listen, there's been some good players. There's been some great players to play the wide receiver position for the Miami Dolphins over the course of this team's history. But I don't know if there's any of them that are as good as Tyreek Hill. Tyreek Hill is different. Tyreek Hill is different. He's a playmaker. He's a phenomenal talent, and I think it'd be a huge mistake to get rid of this guy.
Yeah. Again, again, at least for this season, you know what I'm saying? If I tell you what, if we get like a Godfather offer, then yeah, take it.
Yeah.
You know, kind of like we did with Larry Tunsil. If we get an offer we can't refuse, then go for it. But if it's going to be cheap, you know what I'm saying, for a bag of peanuts, then yeah, I concur with that statement.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, if it's an offer that's worth it, obviously he's a receiver that's getting up there in age a little bit. He's due an awful lot of money next year. Obviously, it's not guaranteed money, so if we did keep him beyond this year, we'd have to rework the contract. And listen, he's got a lot of issues off the field. People saying he's a cancer to the team. I don't know about that. Like, does the guy come in and, you know, this guy helps this team win. He makes this team considerably better. Is he a cancer? I wouldn't go that far. Does he have issues? Absolutely. Am I happy with all the off the field stuff? No. But again, I watch the football games because I'm a Dolphins fan. People are going to have their personal lives. I don't have to agree with them to be able to cheer for them on Sundays.
So yesterday was the official schedule release. What was your favorite game to look forward to? Like your favorite game? We got 5 primetime games. Well, I think eventually we're going to get 4. I think the Pittsburgh Steelers game might be flexed. But what do you think? of those games, the games that we
Well,
have. Are you going to be going to that Pittsburgh game?
The Pittsburgh game? No, I probably won't go. I hate to go to the games that Miami's not. I've never been to a Miami home game, so me personally, I'd rather be at home and watch the game, to be honest. But if I go to games this year and probably in the future, they'll probably be in Miami. I hate to go to games and especially lose, because then you spend a bunch of money to watch your team lose. That sucks. But I hate to go to games and hear the fans try to bash my team, and I got to sit there and listen to it, and I got to sit there while if something bad happens to my team, you guys are all jumping up and down, and I just want to strike you in the face. You know what I mean? I want to violate you. I want to violate you.
I was like that in Indianapolis. I went to the Indianapolis game last year, and man, we were winning, and all of a sudden we just blew that game. And luckily there wasn't too many trash talkers, so I was good there. But yeah, this year I plan on going to the North Carolina game, the Atlanta game, and the Indianapolis game. I was gonna go to Pittsburgh, but unfortunately it's a December game, and I can't do that game. So
yeah, I feel you.
But the one thing I liked about doing this, I've been doing this. This is my third season of In the Blender. The one thing I like about is through this channel, I got to meet people like yourself, like Scott Jackson, and there's people that I actually met in real life, like Cap for Life. I met him at a draft party, and I met Solo D at the games. I met Dolph Freaky at her watch party. There's a bunch of fans that I met because going to these games that I initially met here on this show. As a matter of fact, speaking of which, we still have Lisa Fights Cancer. She's gonna be on she's gonna be in the show. She couldn't make it because one of her close friends passed away. That's why she couldn't make it Tuesday, but she has postponed. But she confirmed that she will be on here. I got Paris Love, and this Thursday I got Tom O'Gara. He does great jerseys. I met him. This is pictures taken at the Indianapolis game. So I got those are some of the shows I have lined up that are been confirmed. So
that's awesome.
Yeah, we're gonna. I do this until July. After that, then we focus on the season. This is kind of like a good off-season show where there's nothing really to talk about, but we just talk. We reminisce about the good times and some of the why we became Dolphin fans and things like that.
Yeah, absolutely. That's great. That's awesome. Yeah, I look forward to. Listen, I'm a very cool person, laid back person. I don't think I'm too big for anybody, and I know that I only got 700 subscribers right now, and it doesn't matter if I get up to 30,000 as much as TD's got or 50,000 as much as Doug got. I'm gonna be the same person. I'm gonna be accessible. I'm not gonna big time anybody. Like I'm coming down for a game in South Florida. I'm coming to a game, and instead of paying these outrageous hotel prices, I'm willing to, hey, let's share a Airbnb. You know what I mean? Let's get a big old mansion and throw some steaks on, and swim in the pool, and play some cards, and then go to the game the next day. You know what I mean? Like, I'm willing to do that type of stuff. I wanna interact with Dolphin fans. I want to have that camaraderie, and I enjoy having a good time, and I will definitely be down for a couple of games this year. I just got to figure out which ones.
Yeah, for sure, man. So now this is the part of the show where I ask you on the spot questions. All right. And this one's this is a new on the spot question, and this is a topic that I want to discuss. All right. What do you think? I would say, hypothetically speaking, right? How would you feel if you know how college games, if you look at the college schedule, a lot of they know who they're playing like week 12, week 9, week 8. They know who they're playing, but it's marked to be determined. I think that games up to week 8, they could do the scheduling all the way to week 8, and then after week 8, make all the games just like they do week 18 to be determined. So that way they could gauge, all right, this will be a better primetime game. This will be, and after week 8, they could kind of determine, okay, this is where the rest of the season is going to fall out. Like the Monday night games, this is going to be the Monday night games. So they could kind of better prepare and say, okay, these two teams will be better off Monday night instead of the one that we already have slated.
Well, I think the main reason they can't do that and that wouldn't work in the NFL is because the amount of people that travel to these games, the amount of people that have to actually work, and set their schedules around these games. College football, 95% of the fan base is students. Yeah. So, I mean, the students, whether the game's at 1 on Saturday, whether it's at 4 on Saturday, or whether it's at 8:30, it's not that big a difference. But when you're dealing with grown people that have jobs, have careers, people that are traveling out of state, people that have to get hotel reservations and stuff like that, people that have to catch flights, I think it's a little bit more difficult to do. So
how about just the Sunday games then? It's going to be on Sunday, but you just the Sunday night game would be all right. This will be the Sunday night game instead of this game.
Yeah, I mean it definitely. I mean, I'd be interested to see how it plays out. I wouldn't be against it. I think it would absolutely be. I think it would be cool. It would guarantee you a better primetime game. But yeah, I mean, I'd be interested to see how it goes. I don't think it's a bad idea.
So, all right, here's another one. Being that you're in Buffalo, in the New York region, who is your favorite beat writer to if you had to pick one beat writer to only get news sources from, who do you think is your most trusted beat writer from the Miami Dolphins?
Beat writer. I mean, I listen to Omar a lot. I mean, if you would ask me this question probably 5 years ago, I didn't like Omar at all. But I kind of felt like he was a Dolphin hater, honestly. I like Barry Jackson a lot. I think Barry Jackson's great.
I like Perk too.
I like Perk too. Not a big fan of Dave Hyde. I'd probably say Perk or Barry Jackson. I like both of them.
Okay, that's what's up. And when actually David Hyde and Alan Poupard did a show called the All Dolphins Podcast. I'm sure you heard of it, with Alan Poupard. He said that the Dolphins, when the new expansions teams, the Jacksonville Jaguars and the Tennessee Titans came about, they had the opportunity to move to the AFC South, but didn't. Would you have if it was up to you, say, hey, Big C, would you want to move to the South, or would you like to keep the division rivalry going? What would you do?
I would like to move to the South just so we wouldn't have to go play these winter games, but I would absolutely miss the games against Buffalo, against the Jets, against the Patriots. So it's a double-edged sword for me. I'd rather us just be good and stay in the East. I'd rather us just come up here and kick their ass in cold weather than to have to switch a division. But yeah, I'd probably have to stick with the East. I'd probably have, the too many memories of those Jets, Bills, Dolphins rivalries. You know what I mean?
No doubt.
P-Double, right, most of my family is up there in Buffalo. I don't know if you know any of the Leonards. My cousin Boomer, My cousin Brian Leonard. They're pretty well known in their areas out in like East Angola.
Oh, that's what's up. Oh yeah, man. And the last question is, being the draft, if you could do 3 draft do-overs, what would they be?
Oh man, that's a rough one. Do I got to name a replacement?
Yeah, sure. If you want
Like because I don't even know who was necessarily picked after them per se. Deion Jordan jumps out there. Obviously, I don't know who was available after Deion Jordan, but definitely Deion Jordan.
Yeah.
I
like this one, Chase over Waddle. That's definitely
Yeah, I think there's bigger ones than that though.
Yeah.
Like that's a big one. Jamar Chase is considerably better than Jalen Waddle, but we've had way bigger misses than Jalen Waddle. Let me see.
B. McD.
Charles Harris. The Charles Harris pick when we could have had TJ Watt.
Yeah, that's definitely one that's been mentioned a couple of times on this show.
And then the year that Randy Moss was in the draft when we could have gave him the Dan Marino.
Oh man, you know what? There are 3 things I will never forgive Jimmy Johnson for. Number 1, he left us with Dave Wanstead. That's number 1.
Yeah.
Number 2, can't think of the third thing, but the second thing is not giving Dan Marino Randy Moss. Holy shit, that would have been a game changer because the defense, or you already know the defense was stout.
Oh yeah, yeah.
But
that could have extended his career 3-4 years. You know, I had someone quit my channel and straight unsubscribe to me because
he unsubscribed to me too, so I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, because of the Dave Wanstead. Because of Dave Wanstead.
Yeah.
You unsubscribed to me because of Dave Wanstead, and I don't know football. But he tried to say there was 14 games in a season when Dave Wanstead was the coach. I was like, "Are you serious?"
I know
you're talking serious? About.
Yeah. And I seen him back. By the way, just FYI, I seen him back in the chat after he said that. So yeah. Yeah, we could have had Matt Ryan. We could have had Drew Brees, but we got Jamar Fletcher instead.
Oh yeah, I mean there was definitely other ones, but those three definitely, you know, Randy Moss, the things that he did as a rookie, you give Dan Marino, Randy Moss with that defense, man, oh man. And then obviously Deion Jordan was such a huge bust for us, and we traded up for Deion Jordan, I'm pretty sure.
Mm-hmm.
And then what was the other one I said? Oh, the TJ Watt, the Charles Harris. Terrible pick. Terrible pick when TJ Watt was there.
Yeah. And you know,
and there was probably a better one than that, but
you know what's funny is when he said, again, I'm not hating on the second pick, but when he said, "Oh, when I picked him," a lot of people called me, said that was our guy. He said the same thing about Charles Harris. Oh yeah, when I picked Charles Harris, a lot of guys called me, said that was their guy. That's who they wanted, Charles Harris. So he said that's why he picked Charles Harris. So it is what it is, man.
Yeah.
All right, we got one more segment, 2 more segments actually, and this is I'm gonna flash up a picture, and you tell me the first thing that comes to your mind. All right.
Yep.
By the way, he was on your show.
Protector. Animal. Reliable.
All right, let me see.
He's got more hair there. Underrated.
Okay. I thought I had it here, but I'll just say his name, Bruce Smith.
Monster. I mean, he's a monster. You know, I'm one of them guys that I gotta tell how it is. Jimmy Johnson, Disappointment. What if?
And last but not least, we say.
That's a man.
By the way, looking at this picture, I see why he wears a hat.
Yeah. Let me think of a word. Geez, I'm trying to think of a word for this guy. I want to get a good one. Delusional. Delusional.
Yeah. By the way, check. Here you go, man. You're wanted in the state of New York.
Yeah. At least someone wants me, right?
Yeah. All right, man. So now we got 2 more segments. I lied. First thing we're gonna do is I have 5. I'm gonna give you 5 categories. This is an award ceremony, right?
All right.
I'm gonna shuffle these cards, and there's gonna be I'm gonna give you 5 different categories for awards all time. The caveat is you can only name one player. So if you name that one player on the next go round, you can't name him again.
Okay.
All right. Give me number 3 between 1 through 5.
3.
1, 2, 3. All right. So let's get 5 categories. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. All right. If you can't think of something, say pass, and I'll get the next category. All right. All right. Offensive MVP.
Tua Tagovailoa.
Are
you talking about for the Dolphins, right?
Yeah.
Are you talking? Okay,
no, all time Dolphins. So you're gonna say all time?
All time Dolphin?
Yeah.
What was it again? Sorry.
Offensive MVP.
Offensive MVP.
Yes. I did have a picture of Bruce Smith. I just forgot to load it up, and I can't load it up now. So I forgot.
I'm gonna go. Ricky Williams.
Okay, Ricky Williams. All right. Running back.
Damn it.
Again, we could do another category if you want me to, but I'm sure we had better other running backs that you like. Ronnie Brown.
No. Shit. That sucks.
He's running back. So
man.
Cecil Collins.
Yeah, right. Cecil Collins. Man. Larry Zonka. I know he was a fullback, but Larry Zonka.
Okay. Zonka, yeah. B. McD said Zonka, so yeah. Offensive lineman.
Richmond Webb.
Oh, yeah. All right. Wide receiver.
Tyreek Hill.
And finally, defensive MVP.
Zach Thomas.
I don't know what. By the way, I don't know when Tonk's show is tonight. He hasn't texted me, so. Tonk is TMI Thursdays. He hasn't. He usually do a show on Thursdays. He hasn't contacted me. Sometimes he does it. Sometimes he doesn't. The thing about TMI, he does. Pretty. It's not really Dolphin centric, but it's NFL, hockey, college. He pretty much does a slew of things, different topics. So when it comes to sports,
P double, I would have said Taylor, but he did go play for the Jets, and now his son plays for the Jets. So he take a step down from Zach. He take a step down from Zach.
Hey man, and numbers. He's part Zach. He's got Jason Taylor and Zach Thomas DNA.
Yep, he does. He definitely does.
And Zach Thomas played for the Cowboys, but I don't think that counts.
Yeah.
All right. Last but not least, and once again, man, thank you for coming on here, man. I appreciate you for taking some of your time out of your busy day, man, to come on the show, man. Look, this show wouldn't be nothing without the guests. If I didn't have any guests to interview, I appreciate all the guests who come on and give me some time. If you know somebody who's a Dolphins fan, and let them know, man, or reach out to me, say, hey, I'm a Dolphin fan, I want to be on the show, man. I'll be more than happy to. It doesn't matter if you're a content creator or not. I've had all kind of guests. I have guests that didn't have podcasts before. I had guests that I met on Twitter. I've had Dolphin fans that were content creators, even a former player. I did an interview a few months ago with OJ McDuffie, 2 years in a row. So he's a big supporter of the, what I'm saying? Of one thing I like about OJ McDuffie is he's a supporter of all Dolphins content creator, no matter how big or small you are. He makes some time for you guys, and that's why I really love his podcast and what he does. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
I'm sure you feel the same way.
Absolutely.
But at any rate, last but not least, what is your Miami Dolphins Mount Rushmore? And like I said, it could be player, coach, owner. It doesn't matter.
How many's on this Rushmore? 4 or 5? 4.
Mm-hmm.
Don Shula, Dan Marino, Jason Taylor, and Zach Thomas.
Okay, hell yeah. Good. That's a good lineup, man. So anyway, listen, we before we wrap this up, just chill with me backstage, and we'll chop it up for just a minute or two. But anyway, what are your final thoughts, man? And let them know one more time. Please put it in the comment section where they could find you, man. And by the way, the link to his show is in the description. So just click on the description. You will find the Finn's Posse and the other show that you do with I think your brother-in-law,
my cousin.
Yeah, cousin. Yeah.
Yep. Come check us out on the Phin Posse podcast Monday through Friday, 10 a.m. Eastern time. It'd be like 10:05, 10:10 because I'll be finishing stuff up, running a little late. I'm not very. I don't be on time very often, but right around that time. Listen, I give everybody a fair shot. We can go back and forth. We can have an open discussion. I take pride in being very fan oriented. I listen to everybody's opinion. I try to answer all the comments, and it's just like a big group discussion where we can all have our voices heard, and we can talk about a wide variety of subjects. Nothing's off the table. Yeah, and I'm going to continue to grow. I'm going to continue to improve. I'm not going to stay stagnant. I want to be better. I will be better. And I love the Dolphins, and I just enjoy doing this every single day. And I can't wait for the season to get here. And yeah, come check it out. Phin Posse Podcast on YouTube.
And you know what? I co-sign everything. Just don't forget us little people when you do make it to the top.
Oh, never that.
So, all right, my brother. Hope to see you next season at a Dolphins game. And Scott Jackson, man, I will let you know when I confirm those Colts tickets. So, fins up. Y'all have a good night. We out of this bitch. Peace.
I know you heard me on the radio flexing. She loved the sound of my voice, it's the best thing. Daydreaming of the jazz all day. Pick up the phone late night with Larry K.